How do you find the right virtual assistant for your real estate business? I'm going to give you some tips and some wonderful hacks today to enable you to find the most suitable virtual assistant for your business. Someone who will work extremely hard and dedicated just for you in your business. So let me tell you right now. Firstly, what is a virtual assistant? So a virtual assistant is someone who works for you in your business remotely. The type of work they do is dependent upon the type of work that you give them. What is so wonderful about a virtual assistant is they can either work for you literally on a full-time basis, or they can work for you on an hourly basis. They basically work for you in a capacity that suits you and your business. They can do an array of different tasks for you in your business. Some of them can be very mundane, very boring, obviously to you. But obviously if it's a continuous, taking up a lot of your time, like data entry, you can get a virtual assistant to do that for you. They can take over tasks that take up so much of your time that stop you from concentrating on money generating tasks, or even tasks that you absolutely love. There are some business owners who have so many virtual assistants in their business that they've actually taken themselves, they've pretty much removed themselves from the business altogether. The virtual assistants can run the whole entire business on their behalf. So that's what a virtual assistant is, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Now, before you even decide to get a virtual assistant, you have to think to yourself, what exactly do I need them to do? What exactly are they going to be doing for you in your business to enable you to get more time, to enable you to get more projects done, to enable you to, deliver better customer service? What is the main objective for you getting a virtual assistant? Once you decide that, you can then move on to decide training. How much capacity do you have to give a virtual assistant training? Now, a virtual assistant takes on tasks. They're not always very proactive, they're more reactive. You have to tell them what they need to do when they need to do it. You need to give them as much detailed instructions as you possibly can. Prior to having a virtual assistant working in your business, you need to make sure you have standard operating procedures. These are a list of instructions that detail all the things that take place in your business. You need to make sure you have as much detail in these standard operating procedures as possible, so that when you do hand over pretty much this manual to your virtual assistant, they don't need to keep asking you how to do stuff, where to log in for this, where to get that. All the information will be in the standard operating procedures. Now, the more detailed the operating procedures are, the easier it is for the virtual assistant to do their role that you've assigned them. If you can think of something like, Amazon, it's very rare to be able to speak to anybody at Amazon, because everything they have, all the information that you need is on their system for you to be able to find. So if you can think of it like that, your standard operating procedures should be as detailed as that. There shouldn't be anything that the virtual assistant will need to come back to you for once they have got the operating procedures. Now, with regards to training, you need to make sure, obviously before the virtual assistant gets going with your standard operating procedures, you need to have a conversation with them. You need to ascertain you need to tell them how you work, the kind of hours they'll be working, how they'll be working. You need to be available to ensure you give them enough of your time, so that if they do have any questions, then they can come to you and ask you those questions. You need to make sure you've got enough time in your day, your week, your month, to enable to onboard this virtual assistant into your business, because there'll be nothing worse than onboarding a virtual assistant into your business and then you just leave them with the standard operating procedures, which is fine, but they still have some questions and things that they need help with. You obviously need to build up a relationship with this virtual assistant, because at the end of the day, they're going to be in your business handling probably sensitive information. You need to be able to get on, have a bit of a rapport with them. You need to make time to have some one-to-one time with your virtual assistant. And the final thing you need to have prior to having a virtual assistant is all of your systems. So I said initially, standard operating procedures is ready to go. Do you have a filing system? Do you have CR system? Do you have an email address for them? What kind of things will there be taken care of within your business, obviously virtually, that you need to ensure that you have set up ready for them to just take over. So when you have their onboarding day for your business, you've literally got all the passwords ready for them. If you want to physically give them all the not physically, but give them all the passwords, or you can have a password manager, so you can allocate them passwords that they won't actually see, but you know, when they log into the software, the password manager will automatically plug in the login details and the password for you. So there's the one that I use is called LastPass. It's absolutely fantastic. I use it, you know, all of my clients. Is really, really good. It doesn't cost a lot of money either, but you know, you need to make sure that you've thought about all these things within your business, so that you know, you're not necessarily giving away lots of, you know, private and financial information when you're not necessarily comfortable with your virtual assistant. There's clients that I've worked with where I've had their bank details, I've got their credit card, I've met their family, met their friends. You know, that kind of relationship does take a while to to develop. There's times when I've, you know, having to taken money or something on behalf of a client, something really personal for them, but that doesn't necessarily happen straight away. It took some time for us to develop a relationship where they trust me, and obviously, you know, they're willing to give me and share this information with me. So, you know, make sure you've got enough time to, you know, have all this set up with your, you know, for your virtual assistant before they come on board. All of the systems, all of the processes, so that when they come on board, it will be easier for them and for you to get going and have a really good collaborative relationship. Now, I don't know if you necessarily heard of the term online business manager. This differs quite a lot from a virtual assistant. A virtual assistant takes tasks from you, the business owner, and does basically what they're told. They can obviously give you a couple of thoughts and opinions on what they're, you know, if they can improve things and make things better, but ultimately they are task-based assistants. When you have an online business manager, they work in a more strategic level. They don't necessarily need a manager to, you know, watch over them, or assess their work and constantly going over, you know, what they need and how they can move forward. They're a lot more proactive. They're a lot more involved within your business. They're a lot more, you know, strategizing with you in your business, bringing clients in with you in your business, you know, do marketing, implement marketing strategies, operation strategies. They're very much, you know, a high level of an assistant in your business. So you need to decide, do you want an online business manager or do you want a virtual assistant in your business? Because one person will need a lot more managerial assistance and a lot more of your time than the other. So you need to kind of weigh that up first of all. When you obviously get an online business manager or a virtual assistant, you need to decide how long are you going to want them to work in your business. Sometimes you can have them for a very short period of time for a short project, or you can have them for a longer period of time for a longer project. So it's up to you to decide, you know, how long you want to have the virtual assistant for and in what capacity you want to have the virtual assistant. Do you want to pay them on a retainer basis, so you're paying them every single month for a set amount of hours or a set amount of tasks, or do you want to have the virtual assistant working for you on a per task basis? So once they finish that task, you've paid them for that task, you then pay them for another task, and you then pay them for another task, or literally on a per hour basis. So, you know, you need to decide as to what would work best for you in your business. There are many different types of virtual assistants and online business managers that you can get, specializing in so much different areas. Real estate, which is obviously what I specialize in. You can get some social media specific people. You can get some website specific people. You know, there's so many different types of virtual assistants out there. So you just need to obviously decide, do you want a general virtual assistant, someone that can, you know, a jack of all trades, pretty much like a handyman for administration. They can put their hands into absolutely everything. You know, when I first started, I was a general virtual assistant, and I could, you know, do a bit of website, do a bit of marketing, do a bit of administration, you know, all different types of you know, different things. And as I've been working, you know, for clients for such a long time, sometimes they put you in a specific role that is needed for their business. So you may end up being a customer service person, you may end up being, you know, a debt collecting person, you may end up, you know, there's so much different types of, you know, roles that you could give your virtual assistant. So you just need to decide as to, you know, the type of, you know, virtual assistant that will work best in your business. Now, in order to find a virtual assistant, there's so many different types, so many different ways for you to find a virtual assistant. You could obviously have an individual, like an individual freelancer. You can have a virtual assistant that works for a company, or you can have a virtual assistant that works for, a very large organization. So a virtual assistant that has, just one person, you can find those people on like People Per Hour, Upwork, Freelancer, those kind of things. Then you have, smaller virtual assistant companies where have maybe the one, the CEO, and they may have between 10 to like 30 people working within their team, that you could obviously work, they can obviously work for you, sorry. Or you can have larger organizations like the Money Pennies of this world, the big massive organizations. They have thousands, hundreds of thousands of virtual assistants working for them, and you then become one of their clients. So obviously with each tier becomes a different level of service for you as the customer. So you need to obviously decide what kind of service do you need from the organizations. Obviously, if you have a freelancer working for you, it's very personal, it's very one-on-one. If they're not available, they go on holiday, then you need to decide if you're going to get somebody to cover for that virtual assistant while they're on holiday or maternity leave or whatever the situation is. If you have a smaller company, between 10 and 30 virtual assistants working for them, then they may have other people that could cover that virtual assistant's role if they go on holiday or maternity leave or that kind of thing. If you have a larger organization that has hundreds of thousands of virtual assistants working there, then you may end up having a few virtual assistants, someone doing your admin, someone doing your bookkeeping, someone doing sales calls. So you need to decide as to what kind of company would work best for you. Where in the world will you find your virtual assistant? No, literally, where in the world will you find your virtual assistant? I am based in the UK, London, and there are so much different virtual assistants all over the world. And obviously, depending on where they are, their price point will reflect their location. So obviously in UK, we're based in pounds. So you may get a virtual assistant from, £20 to £50. Somewhere like India, for example, you may get a virtual assistant that is equivalent to, £1 or $1 to like $30 or £30. Someone in Philippines, again, you may get someone from $2, £2, all the way up to £40 or $40 or maybe even beyond that. The level of skill of all the virtual assistants all around the world is so amazing. It's absolutely fantastic. But when you get someone who's obviously not in your specific country, you need to understand that they will obviously have cultures that you may not necessarily understand. You have to learn about cultures and the language. What is their language? Is there going to be a language barrier between you and the person who you've hired? Are they very good at speaking? Are they better at written communication? There may be certain qualities that they have that you may not be used to because it's cultural. The way they speak, are you able to understand what they're saying? Are they able to understand what you're saying? There's all sorts of different things that you need to hurdles perhaps that you may need to step over, or even major advantages that maybe that you need to consider when you're deciding as to the location of your virtual assistant. So when you decide on a location of your virtual assistant, it's then all about hiring. What would your hiring process be? The hiring process is obviously dependent on whether you get a freelancer, a small team, or a large organization. Depending on which of those you get, you either get given a contract by the company or organization or freelancer, or you get them to sign your contract. So you need to decide as to what would be best for you in your business. Some people want to get extremely involved in their virtual assistant. They want to give them all the systems and give them all the practices and get them to sign everything that they've got. There are some employers who will willing to take on whatever the organization has. So they'll sign whatever the organization has, they'll take their systems and they'll work around them. So you need to decide what will be best for you as an individual. Hope I've given you some food for thought today. I hope you've taken away a few tips that you can use in your own business. Please watch the very next video because I'll have so much more information to share with you.